Hello everyone, my name's Nico and today, just like every other Friday, we have a brand new Splatoon 2 weapon. And look at this person. They want to say hi YouTube. Well, guess what? We'll give them all they want. They have that YouTube fame now. We're gonna go straight to Sheldon's little hut over here. It's actually a really nice store. Has some good air conditioning in it. I approve. It's approved by all of the government's regulations. Okay, hello. I've got the finest selection of I know, Sheldon, you got the goods. We all appreciate you. You're ready to wield the heavy splatting deco. The heavy splatting deco has the same stats as the heavy splatting, but it's been cosmetically changed. The splash wall protects you from your opponent's attacks while increasing your ink coverage. Once the groundwork is laid, use the combination of your splatting and the bubble blower special to expand your turf in the blink of an eye. I recommend this set to players who want to weave together solid strategy and fabulous style. Okay, so this is just like an aesthetically pleasing weapon, but it does actually have a change. Today, we are going to play, we're going to have some great gameplay of the Splat Deco, and we're going to enjoy it. We're going to have a good time because the Splat Deco is a very strong weapon. It spreads tons of ink, it does a big amount of damage, and the aiming's pretty good. You charge it up, and the premise of it is you charge it up to the very peak of it, right? Charge it all the way up, and it just shoots tons and tons of ink until it lets go. So the more you hold down to the button, you hold down the trigger, the more the weapon gets charged up, and then the longer it sends out waves of ink. So it's very strong in that way. It splats people pretty well because you can just kind of spray it all over. It has kind of free range while you're splatting ink, as well as it's good at spreading ink. It does spread a lot of ink, you just gotta charge it up. The only problem with this thing in terms of splatting ink is that you really have to hold it down a while to actually spread any ink, so you are pretty vulnerable in that time that you're charging, much like a sniper rifle would be the same exact way, except this is nothing like a sniper rifle. This is not really meant to splat, it's meant to spread ink, really good for turf wars and things like that. And it's really good in Rainmaker when you are trying to pop that massive bubble to get to the Rainmaker. This thing spreads ink really well. And then of course, you're gonna see a fantastic synergy experience. It synchronizes amazingly, complementing the bubble blower. The bubble blower, as you know, needs a certain amount of ink to fill up, expand, and then eventually pop. To pop the thing, you need to get that thing inked up. And basically, with this new weapon, you can fill this up to the very most amount, which doesn't take much time. It is a pretty easy experience. It does fill up pretty easily for you to let go. Once you fill it up to the vastest amount, the peak of its ink, I'm trying to rhyme here, I'm not Dr. Seuss or anything, but I am pretty comical by my comic. No, I'm not a comedian. I am a game player, and I'm going to continue to drive in my point right here, which is when you throw your bubbles out into the open, if you charge up your weapon to the very peak amount, the most that it can get filled up with, you can let it go and shoot to the bubbles, and it can pop every single one of those babies with that amount of ink. It's amazing at popping the bubbles. You'll see in tons of gameplay I do. All you gotta do is shoot the bubbles. The bubbles kind of defend you in a way because you can't shoot someone through the bubble, obviously. So you have to pop the bubble before you even get to the person. So they provide you with not only a shield, but you can fill up your ink while the bubble is in the air, since they can't really hurt you since it's defending you like a big bubble shield. So basically what you do is you sit behind the ink bubble and you charge up your weapon to the fullest amount, and then you let that baby go. You shoot it at the bubbles, it explodes all the bubbles explode other bubbles. It's just one big bubble domino effect, and it is pretty disgusting the amount of damage and ink you can spread with it. It also has that one thing, I forgot what it's called, the one where you throw it and it shoots down ink, kind of like a rain. Like, you know that thing in a water park where it's just shooting down water and you kind of go under it? It's kind of like you walk through it, it's fun for like half a second and you're done with it. That's what that weapon is, and it's good at spraying ink as well. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but they really did a good job of picking a weapon that would complement the new bubble blower special. This is by far, in my opinion, the best weapon to use the bubble blower with. So if you're interested in the bubble blower, I prefer this over the other weapon that we got the other week, which was just kind of a typical like shooting ink splatter shot type of weapon. It's still very good. I would recommend trying it out, but I think this is better for the idea of getting that bubble popped and really doing a big damage at your first time using the bubble blower. So besides that, this weapon is pretty great. You know, it's really good in things like splat zones because it spreads a decent amount of ink. Well, it's not that it spreads a decent amount of ink, it spreads a lot amount of ink. The problem is moving it around. You know, it spreads lots of ink because it has so much ink in one explosion, right? You charge it up, you shoot tons and tons of ink. You can almost take over a splat zone with just one charge. But the problem with it lies in that it's not the farthest of range. It's a decent range. It's just charging up that ink when you're in a vulnerable spot like a splat zone, when there's typically lots of squids near you and opponents that will splat you up. They will easily splat you while you're charging, and it's pretty weak when you are next to someone and you aren't fully charged. And typically it's not really that strong of an ink blast anyways. It's very good at spraying ink, but it's not the best at splatting people. It's good from afar when you have a big amount of ink shooting at people when they're not visibly looking at you. But when it's, say you're just roaming around the map and it's you versus another inkling, you have to get like 4 or 5 hits of this thing directly on it to actually splat someone. So when you're going against a roller, or you're going against a Splattershot Pro, or someone with a bucket, a splasher, you aren't going to probably win that one-on-one fight because your ink does not do too much damage. So look out for that. It's pretty good in tower control. You can stand on that tower and really just spray ink from the top pretty easily and pretty effectively, actually. Just stand that tower, camp it, throw some ink. You can throw down that rain sloshing thing device. You can get your but the bubble blower isn't the best on the tower control anyways, because the tower is constantly moving and the bubbles typically won't go in the direction you need them to go because it's so unpredictable. But the bubble blower is fantastic in splat zones. It's pretty good, I would say, at I don't know. Rainmaker is kind of a complicated thing with the bubble blower because, again, the Rainmaker is constantly on the move. It's good at popping. It's fantastic at popping that big bubble, you know, that bubble that has the Rainmaker inside of it. It does a great job of popping that bubble because the bubble that you pop will pop that massive rainmaking bubble. But are you really going to use your special just to pop that bubble? I don't know, maybe it'd be beneficial, but the bubble blower isn't the best at Rainmaker. It's decent at tower control because you are still spraying ink and you can knock off everyone in that tower. But the problem lies in really just, you know, it doesn't, the bubbles typically don't go the way you are. And you know, another problem with the bubble thing in general is that your opponents can get rid of that thing. You can't really have them out there for a long time. You can't be too strategic with them, because if you are relying on a certain time to pop them, you're gonna run into problems because the opposing team will try to pop your bubble right back. But besides that, the bubble blower and this weapon are really decent. I wouldn't say they're a great weapon. I wouldn't say like run to it right now. I would say try it out, have fun with it. I always advise trying out different weapons. People are very good at adapting to different game styles. Some people are really good at staying back and sniping. Some people are really good at going right into battle. Typically, you can actually be good at anything if you just put your mind to it and practice it. It's just what people have more fun with and feel more comfortable with. And if you're good at this type of weapon, try it out. You know, you might like it. Even if you don't think it's gonna be your type of weapon, still, it's always fun to try out new Splatoon weapons. And this one's a fun one because you do get to spread lots of ink, you get to charge it up, do lots of damage, you get to use the bubble blower. It's very good in turf war. I don't really talk about turf war that much. I usually talk about just the competitive ranked modes. But it is pretty strong in spraying ink, so it does do pretty good in splat zones. The bubble blower is very fun in splat zones because you can spread so much ink in different areas. This thing charges a ton, spreads tons of ink. So if you are in the more of a casual, fun, doing splat zones, or in a splat fest, this thing is pretty decent. But yeah, decent. It's decent in tower control. It's good at popping the bubble in Rainmaker, but besides that, the weapon itself is good at Rainmaker, but the bubble blower is not too great at Rainmaker, and then it's very good at splat zones. So I say try it out in a various amount of modes. You always know what mode it is based on the time of day, so if you're in a splat zone, I should say try out this weapon. It's pretty great. But yeah, everyone has different play styles. Try this one out. I think you'd have a lot of fun with it. Thanks for watching. For more Nintendo videos, Splatoon videos, you know I am, the best Splatoon 2 content creator. So, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Keep on playing Splatoon, have a fun time with this weapon. I think you'll have a fun time with it. Goodbye. Congratulations for making it to the end of this video. You can now watch this video or this other video. You can also hit the subscribe button right here. It's the thing I like to call binge watching, where you keep on watching videos until, well, your whole day is gone. But it's okay. I encourage it. I'll keep it a secret between you and I. Have a good day.